Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Black Lightning Season 4 review series, and today I am going to be talking about Episode 2, The Book of Reconstruction, Chapter 2, Unacceptable Losses, which I have just finished watching. And this episode was a good follow-up to the Season 4 premiere, where we basically saw Jefferson Pierce is a broken man in grieving mode, mourning the loss of his best friend Henderson, and he's basically turned his back on the Black Lightning persona and he just doesn't care about anything or anyone. He's having marriageable problems with his wife and he's pretty much alienated and pushed all of his family away, including Gambi as well. And this was a very enjoyable episode, and like I said in the last video, this is a very different season to what we have seen previously. We are basically seeing in this season the Pierces are not all on the same page. They're pretty much, I wouldn't necessarily say they're doing their own thing, because they are. I would pretty much say they've kind of gone their separate ways. I mean, Lynn and the girls are still very much on the same page, but they're not seeing eye to eye with Jefferson Pierce, who's just basically just shut himself down, and the fact that he's using his powers in public and now he's just not giving a damn who probably could see him using his powers is a real game changer in my opinion. And this was a very emotional episode because now we're seeing Jefferson is constantly having nightmares about Henderson's death and it's just driving him mad. I mean, there was even a shot of Jefferson going out at night, standing in front of his house and just screaming in a fit of rage with all the electricity coming out. So very emotional stuff, and as I said, a very different kind of season to what we have seen previously, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Jefferson Pierce is going to go back to being Black Lightning, because we all know he will eventually. So this is going to be a very emotional roller coaster ride of a story arc, to say the very least. So with that all said, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about Episode 2, The Book of Reconstruction, Chapter 2, Unacceptable Losses. So we start off the episode where we see Chief Lopez is doubling down on her anti-mutant crusade by telling the police that they'll be getting next generation DEG weapons even more lethal against metahumans. We also see the gang war between Lala's 100 gang and Lady Eve's Cobra cartel, currently run by Destiny, as Lady Eve, who has been missing since the war, continues to rage on in the city. A shootout occurs during the episode which results in a teacher being shot at Garfield High despite medical intervention by Anissa and vigilante intervention by Lightning. We also see Jefferson is having nightmares about Henderson's death, prompting him to go outside and just scream while all his powers are just pouring out until he eventually passes out at the front. Lynn finds him the next morning, but he continues to not communicate with her. Later that day we see Tobias approaches him and reveals that Tobias's new serum makes him immune to Black Lightning's powers. Now we all know Tobias is a tough guy, but now that he is invulnerable and is not affected by Black Lightning's powers at all, makes him even more dangerous than ever. And the fact that he knows that Jefferson Pierce is Black Lightning and all of his secret identities makes him even more of a bigger threat than before. So he tells Jefferson that he will destroy everyone and everything he loves. After the son of one of his teachers is killed, Jefferson goes to therapy alone and later has another falling out with Gambi when Gambi refuses to give information on the gang member who killed one of the teachers. Jefferson later calls TC and gets that information, going to rough up the man and demands that he turns himself in while breaking his leg in the process. Yow, ouch. Lynn goes to therapy alone and we see the therapist suggest that she has nothing for herself outside of work and home. When the shootout goes down, she shoots up with one of the meta serums and goes to help using her wind powers. She is able to save Lightning from being shot but is hurt herself. She later comes clean to Jefferson, who claims she's just traded addictions. Jen and Anissa also confront her and says she's a liability. However, when the violence breaks out again, Lynn shoots up again, although this time it is clear the words of her family are weighing on her. Jennifer has apparently decided not to go to college, seeing a life as lightning as the better alternative. She is also revealed to be using energy from the upper atmosphere to heal herself, something that is implied to be very dangerous. After being unable to save a child from the shootout, Anissa goes out as Blackbird and has both Lala and Destiny rounded up and brought to her. She declares that the parking lot where the homeless gather and where the child was shot is off limits to all gang violence. After some tension, all parties agree, though the gangs clearly see this as an opportunity to make their own businesses. We also see Gamby realises that Monte Vista is supplying the next generation DEGs and has dinner with Lauren, again refusing her job offer. He later breaks into the Monte Vista and gets information about the weapons of their system. The next day we see Gamby goes to see Lauren and accepts a different job offer from her, this time in the R&D department, presumably as part of his plan for dealing with the DEGs. And then also we see Tobias injects himself with something new, a serum. He buys the Browning neighbourhood, but it's unclear what his purpose for that purchase is, and then has an AI hack into Lynn's lab. And that pretty much wraps up my review on episode 2 of Black Lightning. Overall, a very good episode. Very interested to see how Lynn and Jefferson are going to work out their differences. Jennifer now being able to heal herself using the atmosphere is very interesting as well, so I wonder if that will come into play later on in the final season of Black Lightning. And Gamby accepting a different kind of job offer makes me wonder whether or not he's going to continue working with Jefferson due to their long history they have with each other, or is he actually going to turn his back on him and go out on his own. But like I said, this was a very good episode, and Tobias now being invulnerable to Black Lightning's powers, as I mentioned already, makes him even twice as dangerous as before. So I am going to be wondering how exactly Jefferson Pierce is going to combat Tobias and how he's going to defeat him. Lots of interesting questions being asked, and hopefully we'll see all of them get addressed before this season wraps up for good. So I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 2 of Black Lightning? Did you enjoy it? What's your thoughts on Jennifer now being able to use the upper atmosphere to heal herself? Could this work out to be a good thing, or could this work out to be a bad thing? What about Tobias now being invulnerable to Black Lightning's powers? Do you think this could be a long-term thing, or do you think this could be a temporary thing? And what about Jefferson? Do you think he will able to get himself out of this rut and go back to being Black Lightning before it's too late? And what about the Pierces and Gamby? Do you think they will all be able to get back on the same page, or do you think they'll be on the verge of self-destruct? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Black Lightning Season 4 review series, where I'll be talking about episode 3. So until next time, take care everybody, and stay safe, and thanks for listening.